Let's see. Okay.
Okay. Can everybody hear us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, Talon.
Okay, it's a bit breezy, so let us know if it gets too bad.
Are you hooked up to anything on Bluetooth right now?
Should be.
Well,
Just my
I actually use my phone
okay.
for audio.
I know we're live, so if anybody's out there watching, we apologize. We're getting set up. So, but yeah, if it can hook it to your phone, we'll use your phone's.
Well, we'd have to switch the whole thing,
Okay.
which
We've got some help out here today. Morgan is helping us. She's working with us this summer, so she's our camera girl.
videos on. Do you want to turn the sound on?
I see.
All right. Can everybody hear us?
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So I do think everybody can hear us, which is good. So let's not stand facing the sun. So I'm going to flip my camera sideways. Does it still say that it's streaming on your end? Okay. Good deal. Good morning, everybody. Talon Muse here with Chris Termundi. We are some water and cropping systems educators out looking at some corn today. And so we have already done some pre-scouting, and we are just out looking for different diseases of corn, really. And so one of the first things that I want to share is, Chris, you had some leaves. Let's go ahead and go through some foliar diseases first before we get onto some topics of maybe where I think we're going to talk a little bit about some stock rots today and different things like that. And so, Chris here, maybe you can show up on.
Yeah, just make sure y'all bring it up on the stream big screen. You can see these nice gray leaf spot lesions. They're nicely squared off. You can also see it's more opaque back as the light goes through it. Let's try to get a better look at that. And there's no haloing around it, whereas if it was a BLS or bacterial leaf streak, you'd wind up with a nice neon yellow halo around it. So,
okay. Tamara, can you still hear everybody?
Yes, the video is a little difficult, but yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm just gonna, since we're a little maybe can't quite hear or see very well. There you go. You can come put it up on that now if you want.
okay. As we hold it up to the sun, they're going to be opaque, and there's no haloing around them. So the haloing would indicate this doesn't have it. You're great about it. All right, let me see if I can find northern.
You can grab mine in the truck. Or here, I can go grab it. So one of the other things that we've been seeing a lot of here this year is northern corn leaf blight. And so northern corn leaf blight is caused by a fungus as well. And so you can see here kind of a cigar-shaped lesion that is oval and elongated. This disease does kind of like the cooler, wetter conditions, kind of almost similar to something like tar spot, whereas gray leaf spot likes it a little bit warmer. Right, Tamara? That's what you would say?
That's right. Good.
The other thing you'll see too is as it gets later in the lifespan, you also see black spots start to appear within that lesion, and those black spots will be your fungal spores and survival structures.
Yep. And then I'm not sure we had much else other than I will point out on this leaf here, Tamara, what does that look like to you?
Little hard to see. Hold that guy still, but I think it looks like physoderma from here,
Yeah.
at least in the
Yeah, it
midrib.
looks like physoderma, I think she said.
Yes, so this is physoderma. Let me.
You can see where you might mistake it for southern rust because of some spots like that, but it's a leaf and across the ridge or the leaf rib there, you're going to see those purple, almost blackish spots. One blue plus goes all the way across the leaf generally.
Kind of across the leaf in bands. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to hand my phone over to Chris, and we're going to split this stalk here. So you can see this stalk is kind of discolored. It's yellow all the way up that plant. And then the top of the plant has actually fallen off and fallen out of it. So I'm going to hand this over to Chris. You can probably make me live or big screen if you need. You can already tell that this plant is really pretty juicy. There's a lot of moisture there. That's a sign of different bacterial exudates and the bacterial structures in the stalk. And so one of the best ways to look at stalk rots is to just cut it open. You can tell that's really juicy. That's a sign of bacterial stalk rots.
How does that smell,
Thing you'll
Talon?
notice too is when he brought this plant out of the field, you could smell it before he put it down on the car. I knew what it was just by the smell.
It's also super easy to cut through. Most stalks don't cut through kind of like that. That was really easy. And then as we split it open, you can see down here at this end, this is water soaked and saturated with all that bacterial cells, the exudation.
Color.
Yep. We have definitely down here that you can see the strands of, you can almost pick out a strand
Your bundles
of
your
those
vascular bundles.
vascular bundles. Yep. And then as we kind of go up, we get more and more until we just see a complete kind of takeover of the top of this plant. So, Tamara, if you wouldn't to share a little bit more about bacterial stalk rots here. This field was probably around blister stage, having just tasseled, and so it's. How would you say it's distributed across the field, Chris?
So in this field, we're looking at 10 to 15%. In another field about a mile from here, we're at between 20 and 30%.
All right.
That's disappointing. You know, thankfully we
I
don't see
can't
a
hear
lot.
Tamara because my phone has a Bluetooth hooked up to it right now.
Okay.
So
We'll silence ourselves so we can turn up the other phone.
Okay. Well, just for folks listening, you know, thankfully we don't often see a lot of bacterial stalk rot. This can be more of an isolated issue. And that odor, that really foul odor, can be a really good diagnostic feature to help people tell what this is. It's confusing too because you can see it either in the tops of the plant, like what we heard Talon describe, where the top rots out and falls out. But you can also see it when we've had really hot weather and maybe you've got some ponding in the field, and bacteria can infect through the bottom of the plant too. And it basically is a soft rot disease then, and it just macerates the tissue and that stalk, and it can make it turn to mush basically. And these plants can collapse. And so they, they can be infected very quickly systemically, and you often see these die. So this is not one you can treat with fungicides, though, and not even with a bactericide because they are systemic now. So if you need help identifying it, send us a sample to the diagnostic clinic, and please put those in a plastic bag.
you may turn your sound down. So Chris here had some
early stuff. It's early in the infection stage, but you notice it actually came in around the top of this plant was missing, but it also, you can see it was coming in around the ears, and then infected into it was into that small cop there.
So Tamara, how does bacterial stalk rot kind of get into the plant? It's not from, is it from the root zone or?
Well, unfortunately, it can be in a lot of different ways. And so you've seen that in the tops of the plants. You've seen it, or I've described it now coming in through the bottom. When we have wounding events, bacteria are some of the main pathogens that do take advantage of wounds. We usually talk about that with Goss's wilt, but this bacterial stalk rot is another
Honestly, it's probably all
example.
right.
So that's something you should talk about too. And sometimes even very early in the season when these plants are getting beat up by a lot of wind, that can be enough for bacterial stalk rot too.
All right, thanks, Tamara. We are currently trying to make some assessments and make this maybe a little bit better of a stream for everybody online. However, I am not very tech proficient when it's on my phone. I have a lot more success when it's on a computer. But
You go to your audio, hit the arrow. You should have a choices of what audio is coming out of. You might be able to choose the phones.
yeah, that would be good if that button was there.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Tamara, if you chip in and say something, but I think we're going to go do a quick, maybe just walk through the field. And then I'll maybe let you take over here in a little bit to share a little bit about what we're actually seeing. So kind of as we're walking here into the field, this field you can see is wet. We do have some irrigation on this field, but here in the last week, central Nebraska actually got some decent rain. Unfortunately, a lot of that rain all comes at one time, which is not helpful. So the Custer County Fairgrounds did flood a little bit. They had a lot of rain there on Wednesday or Thursday, Wednesday morning, I believe, early.
2 inches, but then like inside Holdridge had half an inch.
So it sounds like anywhere from half an inch to 2 inches here, I think, in central Nebraska for a lot of places. I think as you get farther west, like North Platte, there's not near as much. So you can see This hybrid that we're walking through is really tall. That's almost probably 5 feet taller than I am.
And the ears are setting right about 6 foot.
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of a scale here, I tell everybody I'm 6 foot. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But you can see, I mean, the ears are essentially right at my neck, point up there. That tassel. Pretty tall corn. I'll flip the leaf around here, or my camera. This leaf, another great example of gray leaf spot. I love looking at gray leaf spot like this because it's so easy to tell apart from bacterial leaf streak. There are hybrids that make it really difficult looking at those two like side by side. They can look very similar. But I mean, I think these are fairly obvious lesions with how squared off they are at the ends, and then really held in check by those leaf veins as it grows. One thing about gray leaf spot is it will progress from the ground where we have residue that where it survives, and it works its way up the plant. And so you can see all of these lesions as we go up the plant actually get smaller, probably because they're not as mature, they're not as old. We have a lot of younger infections like this one here. And then as you get, yep, and then as you get up towards almost ear leaf and above, we're not seeing much at all. Chris, did you say that this field had a fungicide applied to it?
Yeah, I believe they had one come in the beginning of this week, maybe the end of last week, but they were right at tassel.
Gotcha. So Chris was saying that we do have a fungicide probably on this field so far, which will protect the upper canopy, but we do have questions about how much those fungicide applications, either from drones, planes, or really any application, how that penetrates into the canopy and protects those lower leaves as well. They're not as critical for maybe yield. We tend to think that our upper canopy, middle canopy is going to be what's really contributing to yield, catching that sunlight. But if we can keep that disease down at the bottom of the canopy instead of moving up, that really may contribute to just less disease in a field. Tamara, would you maybe agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's right. And trying to reach the bottom of the canopy is a challenge, especially with the lower carrier volumes that we're using in aerial applications. So we have to keep that in mind. But if you're trying to control disease, coverage is really critical.
Yeah, okay. So now we're looking to see if we can find any other foliar diseases. I did see some corn rootworm earlier on my first walkthrough, but I think it's at really low levels. So maybe not going to find a whole lot of that here today. I didn't see any western bean cutworm egg masses. I will say in my area, the western bean cutworm moth flights have really slowed down. I think the last one that I checked, it had been less than a week, so I think it had been 5 days or so, but there were only 90 moths in there, which is quite low. So I think we're on the downhill side of that western bean cutworm flight. There is a projection for those that are interested in looking at what that flight will look like for the rest of the year, posted on Crop Watch. And just remember, those western bean cutworms are going to be on the top third of that plant, most commonly on the top side of the leaf, but I think they can be on either side. We do just have a video just posted from our extension specialist, Pinshu, Dr. Pinshu Lai, and she talked a little bit about the crop scouting tools, the Quick Scout app that they have to help determine thresholds and management. So that's kind of a cool tool. If anybody wants to test and use that, it'll give you an idea based off corn price and all those other things, what may be your kind of like threshold for disease or insect management there. So let's see. I'm not finding anything. Oh, is that what I think it is?
Uh-oh.
Got some western bean cutworm egg masses, I believe.
Mm.
Speak of the devil. They're hatched though.
Oh, show us.
So
It's the first one I've seen in here.
Hopefully everyone can see that. That's a hatched egg mass. It's actually a very large number of eggs there. That's one of the largest egg masses I've seen this year. Um, and so hopefully everybody can kind of see that. I learned from one of our other educators that's focused on entomology that those hatched egg masses, if you get a really good view of it, those eggs can actually turn kind of iridescent and rainbow colored in the sunlight, which is kind of cool. And one of the kind of maybe a diagnostic feature if you're trying to determine what kind of egg mass it is. And it sounds like we maybe got a little bit of northern lesion here. Uh,
We we might be
we'll
losing you
try
guys. Your bandwidth's pretty low right now.
years, but I've never seen anything that's maybe to a significant needing management for only northern cornleaf blight.
I was in a field in Gosney that had a 90% incidence at 10 to 15% severity
This year,
over in Gosford. Yeah.
jeez. So
And
it can get to severe levels.
It was a flood irrigated field as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do remember a
Wow.
couple years ago, the Haskell Ag Lab had a really big year for northern cornleaf blight. That was at like 10%. And so I think that research was just a simple fungicide shoot that just been controlling northern cornleaf blight as well as other fungal diseases. So, okay, I may work my way out to the field. Tamara, feel free to share anything else news-wise. If there's anybody else on the call, or please feel free to chip in.
All right. Thanks a lot, Talon and Chris. As they're making their way out of the field, I'll remind everybody that, yeah, we've had more northern cornleaf blight this year. Those infections probably took place earlier when we were having more cool nights and lower temperatures, but they can become more active as we get closer to the end of the season, like we see with tar spot too. In recent last week or so, we've been talking more about southern rust. It doesn't sound like Talon and Chris ran across any southern rust out there today, but we've confirmed southern rust as of today in 17 counties in the eastern half of Nebraska at very low severity, but it's still patchy. Not severe right now, but it's something we should talk about. And if people are thinking about making a fungicide application, uh, if you've already made one, you probably don't need to, depending on your situation, but also keeping in mind some fields are at higher risk, especially the irrigated ones or any fields that might have been planted late or replanted. And definitely, this is a sign that we need to start scouting often and monitoring for more rust development to know if we need a fungicide later. And your best chance of a return on investment is going to be applications between tasseling and up through about the milk stage for southern rust or for tar spot for that matter. So let's get out there and scout like these guys are. What else you got, Talon?
So I think that's it. I unhooked my microphone so that I can mess ups there. Hopefully you corrected up if we maybe got um, anything wrong. But yeah, no, I think I heard you were talking about southern rough there at the end of the here, and I will say I've been scouting around Dawson County and Buffalo County quite a bit. Haven't really been able to find it, so I do think where it is present, it's at pretty low levels. But again, we know southern rust can blow up, so you need to you need to know if it's in your field or not. So make sure to talk with agronomists and guys that are out in your field. It's pretty critical to get on that disease if you're seeing it at threshold levels. So yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I know today maybe wasn't a perfect stream as we had some technical difficulties trying out some new things. But I think eventually we're going to get a grip on this and it'll actually be a good good way to see what's going on in fields around the state. And so the one thing, a couple things that I do need to announce with Scout Nebraska, we have not had any submissions so far as I know about our white mold bounty. And so we have not pulled a raffle. We will keep that open until people submit responses. And so, however, we're going to continue to move ahead. And so one of the things that we're doing is we are announcing our second bounty, which is for tar spot. And so tar spot is all over the state right now, Tamara. We've been confirming it in a lot of counties. They're early on, even more so now as we get as we get into our counties. Chris just mentioned Furnace County was confirmed earlier this week. And so we do know that pathogen's on the move. It's developing, and maybe even in further west counties than what we have had it in the past. And so if you are wanting to take part in these bounties, remind just a few reminders. You need to take a video with your disease, making sure that you're properly identifying it. Use the hashtag ScoutNebraska and then post that on either X or Facebook. We will comment back and make sure that everything's in line. Then your name will go into a raffle where you can win $100 and a Scout Nebraska hat. And so I hope everybody can participate in that. We've got plenty of tar spot out there, so I'm hoping to get lots of responses for this one. We will announce the winners for that bounty in 2 weeks' time, which I believe may be like August 13th or August 14th during this live. When we start getting raffles, we'll start doing that at the beginning of the program. That way you can know if you win or not. And so thanks in advance for those that post videos there. The other announcement is on August 12th, Nebraska Extension is doing a Scout Across Nebraska tour day on a live stream. So very similar to this, but it'll be a little bit of a longer program. And we're going to cover as many acres of Nebraska as possible. So we'll have educators that are going live from eastern Nebraska, central Nebraska, northeast Nebraska. We've got extension specialists chipping in like Tamara and Dylan, and a bunch of educators are all chipping in on this. And we're hoping to give you kind of what crops look like across Nebraska, what pest issues are maybe present in different areas of the state. We know there's a big difference in precipitation and elevation, all those things across Nebraska. So we're hoping to kind of capture that in a live stream so that everybody can see. We'll also hopefully be doing some kind of more specialty crops. I think we've already got alfalfa on the list and some potential other crops as well. So it won't just be corn and soybeans, but we'll hopefully capture all of Nebraska's diversity here on August 12th. That will start at 9 a.m. and will run until noon, where we'll end with a pest scavenger hunt. So if you want to call out a pest that you think, all of us educators or those that are live streaming in those cornfields, we're going to be doing our best to find diseases as fast as possible. A little bit of a competition to see who can find those pest issues first.
Also, I'll be doing an interview with a farmer who's doing relay cropping. It's going to be, he does wheat and soybeans. So I'm going to spend about 10 minutes with him talking to him about the system. And he also did some tissue testing to do his nitrogen on his corn, and he's seen some really positive results with that. So I'm planning on standing out in the field and having to talk with him.
Yep. So there'll be lots going on that day. Just a reminder, that's on August 12th from 9 to noonish. I hope everybody can. Yeah, I hope everybody can tune in there. We'll be hopefully advertising that here pretty heavily here in the next couple of weeks. You can either join our Zoom webinar or just the live stream on our YouTube channel at Scout Nebraska. And so thank you very much. This was Talon Muse and Chris Termundi, along with Tamara Jackson Zims online, doing a quick field update. Thank you very much.
Thanks, fellas. Have a great weekend, everyone.